As a church, we're trying to live out our ongoing commitment to create safe environments for young people and for children. Towards that effort about creating safe environments, we've established standards of conduct. We are screening adults who have access to youth and children. We are providing adults who model appropriate behaviors, and that's what we want to talk about in this presentation. We are training adults to think through the issues of access and supervision, access to young people and supervision of young people, and that's what we want to talk about in this presentation. And then we have an ongoing commitment to educate adults about abuse and other related issues. All clergy, all employees and volunteers who have substantial contact with children must complete the requirements of the Archdiocese Children and Youth Protection Policies before they're able to serve with children. That involves not only training, but also screening as well. So you are not alone in this matter. This is our continuing commitment to serve the church and especially help to create wonderful and safe and appropriate environments for our young people and children. When we're working with young people, we are asking you to model appropriate behavior. There's just boundaries related to safety issues that we've got to keep an eye on. We want to make sure that young people are not being put at risk under our watch. And with youth ministry, that can include so many different games and activities. We want to be able to set appropriate boundaries that provide for the safety of young people, so we're not putting kids at risk for a bruised ankle or an injury. That's not helpful. But that's not only just physical risk, it's also about emotional risk too. So inappropriate names or belittling comments just are not serving us well as church. We are about building young people up and not about tearing young people down. And finally, it's important to remember that young people are not our peers. Yes, we can remain friendly with them and we can develop good relationships with them, but they're not our peers. We don't treat a 16-year-old the same way we treat a 36-year-old friend. So we want to be very careful about being in appropriate relationships with young people. Therefore, it's important to use appropriate language and to be able to respect a young person's privacy. Not to go prying into their deeper, innermost lives. And that includes, picking up a kid's journal on a retreat, scanning a kid's Facebook page just to see what's going on in their lives. You become a little bit of a stalker creeper when you do that kind of stuff, and that's not appropriate. We want to respect young people's privacy, just like we want our own privacy respected. And then finally, there's no illegal activities. Cigarettes are illegal for young people, and so we try to help young people regarding cigarettes by not smoking in and around them. Alcohol, inappropriate and illegal for young people. We don't have activities that involve young people and alcohol. It's just a bad combination, a bad connection. And then finally, pornography. Pornography demeans the value of another person, and we are not about demeaning values of other people at all. In that same regard, this culture has become a little bit more sexually explicit, but we don't have to tolerate that within our church environments. It's inappropriate to identify a young person as a favorite and or to give the impression to other young people that you've designated a young person as a favorite. We view all our kids equally, and we love them all equally. And so to have a favorite is to kind of send a message that that's not the case. And that is the case. We want to love our kids fairly and equally. It is okay to touch, and it's okay to hug, but it's really important to let the young person initiate the hug. And don't be afraid of an affirming touch. I'm not a big hugger in the first place anyway. So for me to give a fist bump or a pat on the back or that kind of stuff is appropriate for me just based on who I am, who my personality is. It's also good and appropriate for us all to be able to give sideways hugs with the arm over the shoulder, or to fist bump or high five or whatever, to communicate to young people that they are appreciated. Regarding our time with young people, we want to avoid situations where we're alone with a young person in a closed room. Many of our facilities have started to be able to put windows into offices exactly for that purpose. Many of our reconciliation rooms now at Dwyer have windows in the reconciliation rooms. We don't want to give the impression that we're ever in a closed room one-on-one with a young person. We want to make sure that we're never alone with a young person. And we always want to make sure that we have a sufficient amount of adults to be able to serve the young people, to be able to be present to young people. If a medical emergency came up, we want to have backup adults so that some folks can be able to take care of a medical emergency. We want to have supervision, appropriate supervision at all times, especially at the beginning and the ending of a program. We want to make sure that someone's there for the kids when they arrive and someone's there for the kids when they leave. In the Archdiocese of Baltimore, when we take overnight trips with young people, we do not place young people in adult rooms, and we do not place adults in young people's rooms. We keep them separate, and we pretty much state a simple rule that we don't ask them ever to meet in a room either. So there's open spaces in hotels and conferences, that kind of stuff, to be able to have meetings. So there's no reason for adults and young people to be meeting ever in a bedroom situation. We do provide supervision throughout the night, kind of making sure that the halls are patrolled and monitored, and the young people are still being supervised, and we're making sure young people are being appropriate within the facility. And then also we have the adults are always available. Young people know where to find the adults when they need them. When we go off and chaperone on a program, especially a chaperone that's a program that's going on overnight, we're on 24/7. There's no off time. Adults have got to be on. It doesn't mean they necessarily have to be awake, but they have to be on and ready to respond at any moment. It is for our safety as much as it is for the safety of young people, never to be with a young person alone, never to be off in a one-on-one situation by driving a young person home in your car, one-on-one, by being off in a counseling or a conversation situation where you're just one-on-one. You want to be able to be visible to other adults in the community, visible to other people in the community, that you are with young people, and you do not want to give the impression that you're off solely one-on-one. In this world of virtual media, we can certainly find ourselves one-on-one with a young person online, or on a text message, or on a cell phone. It's the same deal. We want to be able to speak to all young people in a large group and be able to communicate in large groups. That one-on-one communication can be just as tricky virtually as it is in reality. If you suspect abuse, you must report. And that's not only just communicating with the Archdiocese, that's also communicating with civil authorities. The Archdiocese of Baltimore complies with Maryland laws requiring suspected child abuse to civil authorities. Under Maryland law, any person who has reason to believe a child has been subjected to abuse must report the suspected abuse to civil authorities, even if the potential victim is now over 18 years old, and even in cases where the alleged perpetrator is deceased. If someone associated with the church, including clergy, employees or volunteers in the Archdiocese of Baltimore, is suspected of abuse, then the suspected abuse must also be reported to the Office of Child and Youth Protection. The phone number there is 410-547-5378, and the Victims Assistance Hotline is 1-866-417-7469. We value young people. We value young people as a society, and we value young people as a church. We've got to be able to protect and take care of our young people. Thank you for all that you do on behalf of the church and on behalf of young people. God bless you in your ministry, and God bless you in your love and care for young people.